My husband tricked me in signing a papers to make it that my name would not be on our house. Okay, so long story, my husband and I have been together for 15 plus years, married for 3 years. About 6 months before we got married, my husband refinance our house. He came to me with some papers and asked me to sign them. He told me that it was me giving the okay for him to refinance the house. But what it really was me giving up my rights to our house. It wasn't till a few years later when I found out. He had a family member going through a divorce and we were talking about the other spouse was signing a quitclaim release on their house. And I asked what that was and my husband said, "With the paper you signed when I refinance our house." So after getting upset, I went to the bank and talked to the banker, and she told me that there is only a few ways for my name to be put back on our house. One of which is to refinance our house or to do a quitclaim to put me on our house. I have asked my husband multiple times for us to do one of the options because I am not okay with not being on our house. He keeps telling me that if I want it done I will have to do it. The issues with that is I have no rights to our house. So if something were to happen to him, the bank can come and kick my children and I out of the house. Or at any time he can kick me and the kids out. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. More important is the fact that your husband is sneaky. Why would he do that? He's awful. It's a quitclaim, you should talk to a lawyer. But, in the US, the house is community property no matter who is on the note. Any assets or debt between the two of you is joint. If you get a divorce, half of the equity of the house is yours, even if you are not on the note. You cannot be kicked out of your marital home either. Speak with an attorney. Why did your husband remove you from the house? He did so without telling you. That is a huge breach of trust and incredibly shady. It seems he's lining up his ducks in case he decides to bolt. I know it's been 3 years, but what possible good reason is there to remove your name? If he can't get you back on the house, you need to talk to a lawyer. He's screwing you out of your home and did it by lying to you. I can't come up with any good reason to do that. This is a huge thing he did. He used your trust in him to con you out of your own home. He lied and manipulated you, and the price was your house and trust. You need to speak with a lawyer. The proper term is quitclaim, not quitclaim, and what to do depends on the property and marital estate laws where you live. Consult a qualified attorney in your area. You should speak to a lawyer. Is something happening in the marriage where this is suddenly an issue? Do you foresee a divorce on the way? Honey, I think you need a divorce. But if this isn't a big deal to you and you're willing to put up with that disrespect, still seek legal counsel. This is way above our relationship_advice's pay grade. This is really shady actually, and I think beyond the realm of our relationship_advice. If something were to happen to your husband, I think as the spouse, you should still be okay, but I would suggest checking the legal advice sub. The fact that he was so sneaky about this is troubling and I think warrants more investigation. Best of luck. Your husband is a shady person who openly tries to take advantage of you. See a lawyer, get your name back on it, then see a divorce lawyer because you're not in a healthy marriage, you're just the victim to a long con. You need to talk to a lawyer. You need a lawyer. Next time read what your husband give you. Were you financially contributing to the house before your marriage? Were you on the house note before he refinanced? Lawyer. Yep. Look for legal counsel. This is a serious red flag. He tricked you into being completely dependent on him regarding your own home. That's called fraud in the execution and is likely actionable. It is unclear whether or not the deed presented to you to remove you from title was done as requested by the refinance company as part of refinancing the mortgage. It depends upon how the refinance was applied for and whose credit and income was involved. You need your own attorney immediately. If your husband will not put you back into title, then a divorce would indeed be appropriate for many reasons, not the least of which is that it would be a forum where you could establish your equity claim on the house. Once this is dealt with, if you are still married to this man, you also need to better understand estate planning issues because it's clear from your post that you need help there too. You need to talk to a family lawyer, on your own without your husband present. I don't know why he would be trying to trick you out of your property rights, but none of the possible explanations seem good. You need to take steps immediately to protect yourself and your children. Go meet with a real estate attorney. They can draw up a contract to correct the title of the house. You don't need to be on the mortgage, unless you want to build credit. This all is super shady. Why are you with someone who wants to ensure that you lose everything you worked for if you divorce, or part of your assets if he does? Never sign anything you don't read thoroughly first and understand completely, no matter who hands it to you. This is fraud. If you're in UK or USA, then seek legal advice from a lawyer, quickly. The lawyer should be able to undo the title transfer. You need to see a lawyer. It's fairly common for a spouse to sign a quitclaim deed so that financing can be obtained, if the spouse has bad credit, for example. As a former title examiner, I can tell you that if your husband tried to sell the property and there was a quitclaim deed of record from his spouse releasing all your interest, which typically has language that it includes any past, present or future interest, he owns that property by himself. Unless you're hiding the property from the IRS or something, you should get back on the title. You should read what you sign. You aren't on the mortgage or you aren't on the deed. Because those are two different things. Hindsight advice: why would you ever sign something that is IRL lawyer stuff related without reading? The house is very important, but the real question right now is why. Why did your husband feel the need to do this? Additionally, there is a trust issue that needs to be addressed. He didn't do it because he trusts you. Post this in our legal advice, they may be able to help you. I'm so sorry you were bamboozled. I would discuss this with him calmly, ideally via email or text, about how you can fix it. If he admits what he did and you have documented it, that could help protect you in the event that things don't work out. Interest rates are at an all-time low and you could save hundreds of dollars each month. Insist on refinancing now and you will be on the loan and deed. My mum was engaged to be married before I was born, and her fiancé convinced her she couldn't put her name on the house they were buying because she was an immigrant. Long story short, he cheated on her with her best friend and moved her into the house my mum had paid for. Big red flags from your husband here. He might already have a reason to want to kick you out. Just wanted to share the story in case it could have you from going through the same thing. I'm less concerned with you being taken off the house paperwork and more concerned with why your husband did that, and also why he seems to think it was okay to do. Why would he do that? That was shady as fuck. He's setting up to leave you. You need an attorney. He's trying to take your and your kids home. You can't possibly have a relationship after that. It's under duress and I would call a lawyer. This isn't actually how any of this works. This happened to a neighbor many years ago. Her husband then paid for her and their kids to see her family abroad as a treat for a few months. While she was gone, he sold up and disappeared. I'd suggest getting legal advice. Start shopping lawyers immediately. Don't tell him. Does it really affect you if you two had a divorce? Isn't it a conjugal property regardless? I think a prenup, postnup would be more ironclad in protecting assets. I like seeing all the Reddit attorneys giving legal advice based on minimal jurisdictional info. Tricking you is called fraud in the inducement, and you can argue your signature is invalid. Community property principles may also apply depending on what state. Even if you are not listed on title, it doesn't mean a house is not considered community property. Get a lawyer. It's a quitclaim, not a quick claim. Basically, it's you relinquishing your claim to the property. Get it? Quitclaim. 1. Get a solicitor and get your name back on the house. Gather any information you can. What your husband did is a form of abuse. 2. Start divorce proceedings. He is a loser. These are the type of men who make me not trust men. OMG. This is horrible. This guy knows his stuff for sure. I'd be posting on our legal advice ASAP. That's a shitty underhand thing to do to you. Well, the good news is now is actually a great time to refinance due to low interest rates, so if your husband refuses without an excuse, he's just trying to take advantage of you. You need to talk to a divorce lawyer SND, figure out what your rights are. Your problem is much bigger than him stealing the house from you. You need to be prepared and find out what else he is hiding. What marriage regime are you under? If it's in community of property, it won't matter that your name is not on the house. Sounds like it's time for you to get your own house and not tell him where you live. I'd go directly to a divorce lawyer and ask them how to get part of the house during the divorce proceeding. This would be an irreconcilable deal breaker for me.